Okay, with passage of the climate change bill in the House last week, U.S. companies are having to confront the real possibility that the government will soon cap their carbon emissions for the first time ever. Bloomberg's Peter Cook in Washington standing by with the CEO of one of the companies most directly affected by the change. Peter?
Betty, American Electric Power provides electricity to more than 5 million customers in 11 states. It also happens to be the biggest producer of electricity from coal in the U.S. and therefore is caught right in the crosshairs of the carbon debate. And joining me now from Columbus, Ohio, is the company's chairman and CEO, Michael Morris. Mr. Morris, thanks for the time. Appreciate you joining us again here on Bloomberg. And given the House vote, are you now banking on Congress passing some sort of carbon cap this year?
Peter, I doubt very much that we'll see something come out of Congress in 2009, but I surely do expect that we'll see something in 2010. There are many things in Waxman-Markey that still need to be discussed and debated, and of course the Senate has a lot of work to do yet. The health care issue is clearly going to dominate the scene for a while. I'm happy to see that we now have 2 senators from Minnesota, so at least we can have a full and honest discussion about this. The activity, though, is going to take some time. There are many, many sub-issues, and as you know, the vote in the House was incredibly close. I think it was 219 to 212. 8 Republicans, 44 Democrats moving on the other side of their own caucuses. So I think this is still an open issue with a great deal of debate and a great deal of discussion, and I think that's great for our customers and, quite honestly, for all of Americans. I just think that's a good way to have democracies work, as a wide-open discussion on a very important topic.
If you could get the Senate to change anything in the House bill, what's at the top of your list?
Well, there's no question that the allocation was fair and reasonably well done, but the free credits that are allocated to electric utilities like American Electric Power, which go directly to the benefit of our customers, start to fall off in 2025, actually 2020 through 2025. It would be better if they stepped down from 2020 to 2030. That would protect the customers as the technology is developed and rolls out. I think that would be a great enhancement. And then there's a really silly amendment that had to do with transmission in this country. If we're going to do renewable energy, sun, wind, we've got to take it from the place where we find it, which is typically in the deserts of the Southwest for sun, and the wind corridor from the Dakotas to Texas. We have to move that east and west, and they have a plan in the west where the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission would be in charge with primary authority. In the east, they would have what's called backup authority, which is really kind of illogical. And if they're going to do that, what they should say is, well, the west can have renewable portfolio standards, and the east ought not. So we've got to fix those two things for sure, and many other sub-points.
Well, let me ask you about some of those sub-points, and in particular what the message that you're delivering for your own shareholders right now. If some sort of legislation does move forward, as you anticipate it will, if not this year, perhaps in the years to come, how are you going to continue to make profits at American Electric Power?
Well, Peter, this is an excellent question, and probably one of the most misunderstood industries and the misunderstood approaches to this. Public utilities, we're regulated in all 11 states where we do business, so our rates of return have everything to do with the amount of equity that we invest in our system. To the extent that we capture and store carbon, which we will do in retrofit technology, which we're working on, and in fact we'll do this September 2009 at our Mountaineer station, that will add a tremendous amount of capital investment to our system, which will add to our earnings, not detract from our earnings. So the reason the free allocations are important is that in the interim, while the technology is yet being developed and tested and scaled, we aren't double charging our customers. That was something we were very concerned with in the early go when they spoke to the issue of auctioning off all the credits. That's just a tax. And if this administration wants to have a carbon tax, they ought to call it that, and we'll debate that in the Senate. I don't think that's the appropriate way to go.
Let me ask you about your West Virginia project where you're trying to capture carbon at that West Virginia plant. Can you give us an update on the technology? A lot of people think that's never going to work.
Well, I think those are folks who would wish that coal would go away, and that's a wish that will never be fulfilled, not only in this country or anywhere in the world. The fact of the matter is the capture technology is now demonstrated. We're very comfortable with the chilled ammonia approach that we're using. We're building the facility. We've already drilled the wells. The pipelines have been laid. We know the subsurface technology. Battelle, headquartered right here in Columbus with us, one of the major research firms in the United States. I know it'll work. You can come September and see it happen.
All right. Mr. Morris, thanks for the time. Michael Morris of AEV, Chairman and CEO.